What is up, guys? My name is Apache, and today we'll be answering the question that is, why will Battlefield 1 be so good? What I'm going to be saying is merely based on what we know so far and the gameplay and details that we have been given. So first off, Battlefield 1 is going to be set in an alternate World War I setting, meaning many of the events that we will be seeing in Battlefield 1 didn't actually occur during World War I. This means that DICE isn't restricted to only basing their ideas around real-life events, giving them some more freedom when developing the game. I'd also like to mention that DICE are one of the only few developers that have actually dove into the World War I setting. The only other game that I can think of that has a World War I setting is Verdun, and that has been developed by an indie studio. The community has been asking for a historical FPS setting for years now, and DICE have finally delivered it. The last game that was set in the past that was developed by DICE was Battlefield 1943, and that was released in July of 2009. It has almost been 6 years now since we have seen a historical FPS game that was developed by DICE. So games like Call of Duty keep pushing the limits of technology like exosuits and advanced movement systems, and with the next Call of Duty titled Infinite Warfare, that is no exception. Battlefield 1 will be run on the Frostbite 3 engine, and looking by the gameplay that was given by EA Play during their livestream, the graphics live up to the expectations. Star Wars Battlefront, for example, is a game that runs on the Frostbite 3 engine, and looking at that game and the level of detail on some of the maps, it looks almost photorealistic. So a point that I'd like to touch on is the weapons that will be featured in Battlefield 1. Since the game is set in the First World War, the guns that we will be seeing are going to be analog, meaning that many of the technology that we've seen in like Battlefield 4, such as the lock-on RPGs, such as like the Javelin and the Stinger, that everybody knows and loves, will be gone. We won't be seeing them in Battlefield 1, and we definitely won't be seeing optical sights return. So destruction is meant to play a key role in Battlefield, though looking back at the previous Battlefields, destruction has become almost redundant, such as like in Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3, and many of these destructive features that we have seen in the previous Battlefields were almost pointless, and in some cases it has actually made the experience less desirable to play. The tower in Siege of Shanghai, for example, is the whole levolution concept that EA and DICE have marketed in the past just makes the game a lot less fun to play. In the next Battlefield though, developers have promised that destruction is going to play a key role when playing, and that there isn't any sort of destruction that doesn't have a meaningful purpose. So the next point that I'm going to go on is the level design, and why level design is extremely important when developing a game, and especially if the game has a variety of game modes. In some of the previous Battlefields, like especially Battlefield 4, it seemed like many of the game modes were not taken into consideration when DICE were developing a map, and many of the Battlefield 4 maps work well with the Conquest game mode. However, many of the other game modes, such as Rush, don't really work well at all with the level designs. So what I'm hoping to see in the next Battlefield, in Battlefield 1, is for DICE to design maps around specific game modes. So for example, Rush maps should only have a linear design, and maps based around Conquest should be designed in sort of an oval pattern with plenty of open areas. So if a map doesn't work with a specific game mode, that game mode shouldn't even be an option when you're picking the map that you want to play. So instead, make it so that you can only play a map if it works well with the game mode that you're playing. So those are just some of my thoughts and ideas on what I think about Battlefield 1. Let me know what you think in the comments below of what you think about Battlefield 1 so far, and if you want to subscribe to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.